Okay, so let's talk about the individuals who scored high on green. They only make up a very small percentage of the overall world population, but we need greens in our world. Greens, I want to ask you, and with the help of the Remain Advantage staff, who do you consider to be family? I'll give it a moment for you to discuss that. Okay, so you can see from the conversations between the blue and the greens that who they define as family are at opposite ends of a spectrum. Blues include everybody they come in contact with. Greens have a very small, tight-knit group that they consider to be family, and that is usually their spouse, themselves, their parents, maybe their children in there. Otherwise, your friends are not included. Okay, so now that we know what the greens are like, we know what the blues are like, let's talk about the golds for a second. The gold personalities in this world are very, very easy to pick out. For example, raise your hand if you keep a to-do list. Okay? Raise your hand, again, if you check off every to-do list item when it's completed. For those who are extreme golds, we'll use a different colored marker. Does it sound familiar? How many in the classroom do that? Now I want you to think back to when you were in school. Our school system is based off of a gold communication system. A lot of teachers are this way, and it finds it very difficult sometimes to communicate effectively with teens or students who are orange. So let's think about when you were back in school. How many of you, or how many of you can recall a classmate, as soon as the teacher gave you an assignment, that person automatically raised their hand and said, "Excuse me, did you want that single-spaced or double-spaced? Do I get extra credit if I list all my references?" That is definitely a gold personality. So if you're sitting in a team meeting in your office and you have someone, as soon as the assignment's out there, their hand shoots up, they start asking several additional questions, you know you're dealing with a gold. Now, how do you get along with a gold person? Number one, gold people, we need them in our society. They are the record keepers. Those are the people that follow the rules and make sure everybody else follows those same rules. For example, if you go to have a meeting with someone that you figure out is a gold personality, if you show up at the exact time of the appointment, you're late. A gold person wants you there 5 minutes early. They want you to have your to-do list, your notepad, ready to go. To make a gold happy, they want to be recognized for their organization skills. How many of you have a boss that automatically, once you have a deadline to meet, and if you turn it in on time, they're frustrated because you haven't turned it in 5 minutes earlier? Okay? In order to get along with them, always turn it in regularly. So, let's talk about the orange personalities for a second. How many of you have a person, a friend, a coworker, a colleague, who always is kind of the party animal? That's our orange personality. We need those in our society because they are the rule breakers, but they are the risk takers. Again, when I mentioned earlier on the school systems being based off of a gold setup, teachers have a hard time working with or communicating effectively with orange personalities. Maybe you have an orange personality child. They are multitaskers. Sometimes the teacher will ask them in the classroom, "Are you paying attention to me? Sit down, be quiet, quit fidgeting." These are the students who are listening and they are learning, but they are multitaskers. They can split their mind and what they're absorbing into different categories, and they're picking it all up at the same time. However, because they're a risk taker, it's all about them, first of all. And they go at a very fast pace, And if you have a colleague who gets paid on Friday, but by Monday or Tuesday's asking to borrow $5 or $10 for lunch because they got to run by the bank, that's a problem. That's a clue that it's an orange personality. Because with the orange personality, they spend their money as fast as they earn it. Okay? They are the risk takers. If I was NASA and I had 4 jobs that I had to hire for, or I was looking to fill those positions with a person, the astronaut, the engineer, the psychologist, or control center, can you picture yourself in one of those career fields? The astronaut is going to be the orange personality. They're going to be the risk takers. They do not want to really know all the intricate details on how to get to the moon or wherever they're going. They like the adrenaline rush from being shot into space. The green are those engineers who are figuring out all the intricate details of how that operates and how we're going to get that astronaut, that orange personality, to the moon. Okay, so you've got your green engineers, you've got your orange astronaut. You have your blue psychologist. The blue psychologist is the one that's going to make sure that the astronaut has the mental capabilities to deal with in space. They're going to want to really know how he's doing and how he's feeling. A blue person will also, you will know them and be able to identify them very quickly, because when they come up and talk to you, they're going to ask you, how are you doing today? Or how are you feeling today? They have a tendency to use adjectives versus action words. So when they tell you or they ask you how you're doing, they really, really want to dig into every little intimate detail to make sure you're okay. Okay, blue personalities also have the tendency to have the highest percentage of depression. The reason being is because they worry about everything and everyone, and they're sponges. They bring it all in. They are very in tune with their feelings. Now, I didn't ask this earlier, but I'll ask it now. How many guys in the class were blue was your top color? Okay, if you're a blue guy, trust me, you are in a good spot, because number one, you're probably very romantic with your significant other. You're in tune with your feelings. Most women would really like to have a male partner who is in tune with their own feelings and who can express it. Many males have a tendency in their communication to say, oh, okay, I'm fine, or yeah, I love you. But do they really express that in a way that's comfortable for a blue person? So we have the psychologist as blue, we have the engineer that's green, we have the astronaut that is orange, and lastly, control central is your gold personalities. They're going to make sure everything is on target, it's met its deadline, it's operable, it's ready to go, and that all regulations are being followed at all times. Okay, so I've given you a few clues on how to follow or to identify those individuals. So, in order to succeed with each of these colors, and you can, I know you will be able to read most of this, but refer to your slides that were distributed. To succeed with an orange, get direct to the point, because they've got so much going on in their life, they don't have time to listen to a blue go on and on and on. So if you're a blue and you're dealing with an orange personality, just give them the basics. If you're a gold boss and you have an orange personnel, they'll meet the deadline, but they're not going to report to you every step along the way. Chances are they're going to wait to the last minute, they're going to run in and they're going to contribute to the project or contribute to the report, but it'll be done, but it's always on their time. So you have to respect their lack of structure, but also you have to recognize and appreciate their energy and the activities that they're involved in. And of course, you have to always compliment them on their sense of humor, because orange people, they're just going to say it. They do not have a filter, but they have a wild sense of humor, and you need to just respect them for that. For golds, number one, be always, when you're meeting with the gold and you want to get something from a gold, be neat in appearance, be neat and orderly in your work. There are some people in the workplace that when you go into a gold's office, there's nothing there. You want to tick a gold off, just casually walk over to their desk and pick up a personal item on their desk and start moving it around and watch the stiffness of their back. Watch where their eyes are. Their eyes are on the set of the object that you're playing with on their desk because you're touching their space. Now, to tick them off, set it somewhere else on their desk and watch what happens. Chances are they're going to pick it up, they're going to put it right there. You just made a bad move with a gold personality. Be truthful with them, plan ahead with the gold always. With that, when you go to a gold person to communicate an issue, have a plan of action already in place. Don't wait for them to develop that plan. And of course, golds are very loyal, they're very dependable, and you have to respect their structure order. I work with a couple of individuals who are gold, and I've learned to respect their space. But for giggles and grins sometimes, when I know they're a little tense, I'll mess with them a little bit by just going and moving things around them and saying, you need to chill, you need to relax a little bit, because in the end you're going to regret all this tension that you're building up. Now with greens, if you're a green, I won't say you're perfect, but you're pretty close to it. A green is always right. How many of you think you're married to a green? I am married to a green personality. And the greens are the logical thinkers of our world, okay? They usually are scientists, they can be engineers, they are loners. They do not need a lot of people around them, but what they do need is downtime. They prefer to work as an individual. They are processing and data analyzing all the data that's going on and that they're receiving in their minds. But what they end up doing, because it is so exhausting with it, they need their quiet time, and they will go to a room and they'll shut down. The next project that we're going to be doing, or the next exercise we're going to be doing, I've had some that are extreme green ask if they can do this activity by themselves, away from everybody, in a hallway. The answer is going to be no. You have to work with your team. If anybody, when a company is downsizing, and they are looking at who they have to let go, the greens are usually the first to go because they can train others to do the mechanical things or to work on the problem solvings. But what they can't train you or teach you is how to communicate and be open with the other 3 communication styles. These individuals, again, are usually the first ones to go from a company. Okay, but how do you get along with them? Number 1, you really have to respect their knowledge and wisdom. And 2, give them their downtime. 3, do not think of them as snobs or arrogant. But because when you do, you're shutting them off from your communication styles. But also you have to provide to them very detailed instructions on what you're wanting from them, and they're going to give you that. They do not want anything that's kind of a hypothetical situation. Okay, and again with our blues, they want you to be truthful, sincere with them. They want you to give them the time. They want you to know that they want to be there for you. Okay? Of the blues in the room, how many chances are you willing to give someone who has disappointed you, hurt you, left you hanging, whatever you want to call it? How many of you have, how many chances are you willing to give that person? 1, 2, 20? Ask a blue right now what happens to them when they've had enough. Chances are they're going to give them multiple chances, but when a blue has had it with that individual and wants to take them out of their social group, a blue is going to blow their top, and everyone in the room is going to know it. Once they mark you off that list, you are not allowed back into their little circle, okay? Whereas a green's going to give you 1 chance and then walk away because they don't need you. Blue needs people, all right? So going to ask the staff to go back one slide, and we're going to go into our second activity. Okay, the staff are going to hand out to you a large poster, piece of paper. And I want the golds to get in a group, the blues to get in a group, the greens to get in a group, and the orange to get in a group. And remember earlier what I said, whoever scored the highest overall score for that group, you're going to be the leader for this next activity. Once the sheets of paper or the post paper is distributed, there are some markers. These are the only markers you're allowed to use. All right? And I want you to create a poster. We're going to give you 15 minutes or so for this. I want you to create a poster that demonstrates to the other three groups what is the group's needs, what are their joys, what are their strengths, and what is it that you value. Now I want to preface this with a statement for the blues, and I'm going to ask the staff to help reinforce that. So here it is, blues. I'm giving you permission to be a blue. What does that mean? You figure that out, but be a blue. Show us, express to us, because blues don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Blues, we want to know what your strengths are, your needs, your joys, and what it is of value. So just be your blue personalities. We're going to pause at this moment so you can go ahead and do this activity. Okay, we're back from the activity. How did it go? Did everybody come up with their activities and identify your needs, joys, strengths, and values? Well, let's share those, okay? So what I'm going to do now is kind of ask one person, the leader of that group, to stand up and explain your poster. And after each poster, the Vermilion Advantage staff are going to share with you a poster done previously, and you'll be able to see the comparisons between the two. All right, so we'll start. We're going to pause for this. Okay, now you understand that no matter how many people take this, how many people are working together, each of you have now identified your preferred communication color. You now know what ticks you off, you know what makes you tick, and you have some clues on how to use that to work in a team environment to increase and to improve your communication with your team members. We can move it forward, please. One more. Okay, when you understand this about each other, you're going to have a dynamite team with open communication styles. Now remember, some of you may have 1, 2, 3, and there is that rare one that has 4 is equal in all 4 of those personalities. But once you've mastered this, then you too can be successful in your communication, in the workplace, in your family, with your friends, and who knows, maybe some of you may even be able to create your whole career out of it, like J.K. Rowling, Walt Disney, and Frank L. Baum. So I'm going to turn it back over to the staff now. Good luck to all of you this year, and I hope you have a great leadership class.